Hello, everybody, and thanks for listening to the Ketogenic Fasting Project one more time. Today, I'm talking about psoriasis and diet. As I've said before, this whole thing is like one big experiment to me. I originally got on the ketogenic diet, or started out low carb and got into the ketogenic diet pretty quick in early 2017, and it made such a huge difference. I was suffering from arthritis. I mean, my hands were really bad. A lot of the pain I'd been suffering from a long time, I didn't even associate with arthritis because lower back pain typically you associate with things like disc problems. The spongy material between your vertebrae gets ruptured or displaced, and then the bones start putting pressure on nerves, and it causes pain, and you suffer from sciatica and stuff like that. I didn't really associate that with arthritis, but it may well have been connected because when I got on the diet, ketogenic diet is generally considered a low inflammation diet, so um, tissues in your body tend to be less inflamed, and so a lot of aches and pains kind of go away. In addition to that, your hormone balances tend to be better, and so people like men in particular, their testosterone will go closer to normal. And testosterone isn't just a male hormone; it's a hormone that we need to heal. So there's no little scientist swimming around your body knowing if this is exactly what's going on, observing anything, but this is how the story goes. And so the severe arthritic type pain that I had in my hands went away very quickly. My feet stopped hurting as much, and then all of a sudden my lower back pain was gone. Torn shoulder I'd had was better. I had a couple other injuries people know about. I degloved my ilium and stuff like that, and I had fluid trapped under that tissue for a long time. And all these things started rapidly getting better, and many of them were decades old. So I was shocked by it, and I had also developed psoriasis, and presumably I had psoriatic arthritis and psoriasis. They often go hand in hand. But again, there was no definitive diagnosis. It was just kind of an assumption. And the psoriasis got much better. For people who don't have psoriasis or don't know anybody with it, I had a relatively mild case compared to many of the people that I interact with online. I mean, some of these people suffer horrendous skin afflictions. Um, my heart goes out to them, especially when I see these pictures. And naturally, there are pharmaceuticals that people try, and some people have very good success with them, and oftentimes they don't, and they try another one. I wasn't to the point where I was really even ready to ask my doctor about something like that because you see the commercials for them and you hear about the potential side effects, and in general my feeling is that anything you're going to take for any length of time, you run the risk of creating side effects that might very well warrant more medication, and it's kind of a snowball. And you see anybody go through a serious long-term illness, you see how many medications they can accumulate over time, and in the end, you're like, I don't know if there's a real payoff there. And I certainly, my skin wasn't bad enough that it was debilitating. It wasn't even particularly unsightly. I was fortunate that most of the places where my skin erupted was generally covered by my clothes, so I didn't really have to worry about other people seeing it or being disgusted by it. But at the same time, my clothes would rub on it, and then I would bleed through my clothes, which it's kind of horrifying in a way. I mean, I didn't feel like it was going to kill me, but at the same time, it's not a pleasant thing to live with. So since my psoriasis got much better on the ketogenic diet, and my arthritis seemed to go away, and a number of other issues seemed to resolve themselves, I thought, well, maybe if I keep tinkering with the diet, I can completely put this psoriasis into remission. I'm not going to get into the argument whether psoriasis can be cured or not, because people, I don't even know why people are adamantly um, um, defending the idea that there's no cure for psoriasis, as though, like, even if you can make all the symptoms go away, you still have psoriasis. I don't really know what's behind all that, and I don't even really care to unpack it. But since I don't take any medication, and there probably isn't really much in the way of stuff in my environment that's going to cause this, presumed autoimmune disease or autoimmune reaction, or however you want to phrase it. I thought, well, let me work on this diet some more, and maybe I'll find a way to get rid of it, completely. So that led me to the zero carb diet. So the the diet itself isn't necessarily the only factor, um, but I was also working on other things, and I should mention. I think number one is sleep. I really should have put it at the top of the slide. And I know a lot of people battle with getting enough sleep. You know, we didn't really put a premium on getting enough sleep. I mean, people throw the idea around, but still, people always wanted to have more time in the day to do whatever they wanted. So I personally, I realized that I was used to, I was kind of born and raised a night owl, but the older I got, the less I could sleep in the morning. So when that sun comes up, I pretty much need to get up. So that means you can't stay up late. If you're not getting enough sleep, your cortisol levels tend to go up, which could contribute to psoriasis. Your brain and body aren't going through all the processes that it should go through while you're sleeping. So um, that in itself I put there. But the diet actually made it easier to sleep, and I certainly seemed to sleep deeper. I just needed more discipline in getting to bed earlier because I knew I was going to wake up earlier. And then I use the tool of fasting. Right now, I'm not, because I really want to see how the zero carb or carnivore diet does. And so far, it's great. And I'm happy and healthy on it. And the psoriasis does seem to be slowly going away. And I'm taking pictures periodically so I can compare the pictures, because you know I can want it to get better with all my being, but that doesn't mean it's going to happen. And then I figure the photographs are about the most objective way to judge its improvement, and of course keep a record as to how long it took and what was going on. I'm also increasing exercise and trying to work in a larger variety of exercises. I particularly prefer muscle building exercises, so that's kind of what I enjoy. So I've kind of started tilting more that way and worrying about cardio a little bit less. And I've also been working on getting more sun. I seem to tolerate sunlight much better, which has been a serious problem my whole life. Sunlight in particular really bothered me. I'm also very sensitive to loud noises. So, I got a diagnosis on that too. You got to get a diagnosis for everything these days. You can give it a name, but there's no meds or anything like that for that. I did find that taking vitamin A and vitamin D did help with the sensitivity to sunlight. But now that I've changed my diet, I'm not taking the vitamin A and the vitamin D anymore. And not only do I not feel that discomfort of being exposed to sunlight, but I don't seem to burn near as easy. I seem to be much more sun resistant, so tan much better. So the diet, quite honestly, seems to be contributing to better tolerance of the sun, which can also, tolerating the sun can also help psoriasis, because a lot of people use tanning or sun exposure to help their psoriasis. So I'm working that in as well. So as I stated in other videos, this kind of started when I was learning about low carb and reading books like Good Calories, Bad Calories, why we get fat, and stuff like Gary Taubes, and The Big Fat Surprise by Nina Tolkois, and so on and so forth. I've been through a ton of books, and I'm gradually doing the book reports on them, so other people know what's in them in case they want to read them. And I think it's kind of a natural progression to go low carb, and then if you need a little more, you get full ketogenic. And then a lot of people who had success with ketogenic got curious about carnivore, or were looking for that extra edge. And I think they're all powerful tools, and it just kind of depends on how far you need to restrict your diet to achieve whatever it is you're doing. It's not all, everybody kind of think, their thoughts kind of center around weight loss when it comes to dieting. But, and I get that way too. I get focused on the weight loss. But right now I'm focusing on psoriasis to see what exactly might be in my diet that's driving it, or at least preventing it from going away completely. And I do fast. I have fasted up to 10 days at a time. And yeah, I don't know. I'm not going to tell anybody else to do it, because everybody's, I think, more worried about the liability of recommending it than actually doing it. But you do not have to eat every day. And of course, all kinds of people do intermittent fasting, and still quite a few people do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5-day fast. And I think it's a normal biological process that we go through. I think we're meant to do that, and I wouldn't be surprised if we really do find out that that's one of the most powerful anti-cancer tools there are. So time will tell, but I encourage people to learn about all these things: low carb, ketogenic, zero carb, carnivore, and fasting of all different increments, whether it's a 12-hour fast or a 12-day fast. I think people should stay open-minded and look into it and see if it's something that you think you'd benefit from. So zero carbohydrate diet, or zero carb, and carnivore, they really are the same thing. Um, if you read a book like Fat of the Land, you'll find out that there have been many cultures throughout time, and starting to learn now that it seems like mankind really spent their time chasing the elephant, like um, creatures, the mastodons, mammoths, and a bunch of other thick, fatty, slow-moving animals like sloths and woolly rhinos and stuff like that. They were easy to kill because they weren't used to having predators come after them. And a prehistoric, say Paleolithic era guy can take this big sharp wooden stick and just ram it into this woolly mammoth and wait for him to bleed out, and then everybody eats for a couple weeks. And I think that just like the Plains Indians used to follow the buffalo around, I think most of mankind used to follow these large herbivores around, eating them, and then they disappeared in a cataclysm. I think it was originally thought that human beings ate the mammoths and mastodons and sloths and horses and all kinds of stuff into extinction, but it's entirely possible that they died for some other reason. And if you see those giant fields in Siberia where there's thousands and thousands of mammoths that were all killed at the same time, that wasn't human predation. That was some sort of climate change or flood or something that came along, because they had broken legs and all kinds of stuff. They were busted up, piled up, and froze to death in the mud very rapidly. And that's just not what Stone Age man did. Modern man doesn't even do that. So anyways, the zero carb diet, or the carnivore diet, really I think is seated in some sound anthropological, archaeological, and biological sciences, that man was a fat-seeking creature. And of course, we're looking at eating fatty animals with lots of protein in environments where there really wasn't that much vegetation. So just keep in mind your kale, your spinach, your carrots, your apples, your bananas. There was no Chiquita bananas here before the telephone, so it wasn't that long ago. So keep in mind that a vegan diet is a modern construct, and if people don't want to eat things that had faces, fine, but let's not pretend like that's how the humans evolved, because the last 2 million years or so was full of meat. And so trying out a carnivore diet or a zero carb diet really isn't that crazy of an idea. you find out when you read the books that it wasn't that long ago there were still plenty of cultures that lived like that. So I'm doing it to see if it eliminates the psoriasis. It's an experiment, and I hope to give some honest results when it resolves. And I encourage other people to look into their diet and not just go running for the medications that might cause other problems. So anyways, this is the first video on psoriasis and diet, and you guys can find all kinds of information on YouTube, Facebook. I have the private Facebook group called the Ketogenic Fasting Project, and people are welcome to ask to join. It's easy to find. And I ask everybody to. So I'd like to encourage everybody to come find the Ketogenic Fasting Project on Facebook, as well as check out some of those other Facebook groups like Zeroing In on Health and World Carnivore Tribe. And please subscribe to my YouTube channel, and please give me a like on the videos. Pass links to the videos on to other people, and stay enthusiastic, stay curious, keep learning, because there's a lot of new information coming out that we can all benefit from. And we've had a long history of suffering from bad information, and it's gradually getting replaced with better information. So thanks again, and I will talk to you soon.